pertainage, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. Motion by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Cloche. Any public comment? Mr. Ford? No, Mr. Cloche? No. Any other board members?
I just have a question
Ms.
about
Benoit.
that. Exactly what were the repairs? I don't know that I saw a list of those.
Sammy,
That would be Sam.
if I had, he can answer a lot of window and some floor, if that. Andrew Price, main issues.
Yeah, a lot of the flooring inside was pulled out and all. They had a lot of broken windows. They fixed those. Some of the portables in the back had roof leaks and everything. They fixed the roofs, awnings, redid the whole inside of those portables, which came out nice. I mean, they did a real good job with them.
And what are we planning to do with Andrew Price? No plans?
Nothing immediate.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
And what, you saying repair the portables as well? I thought we were like getting rid of portables.
Well, this is not an actual portable, I guess. It's a building that was built and brought there. It's not a actual portable.
Oh, okay.
I'm calling it a portable because it's away from the building.
It's movable.
Not really a movable. It's a good sized building.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
An outbuilding.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. Number 14, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept change order number 2 for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Houma Junior High School in the amount of $3,929.04 for additional cost of materials for 1x6 baseboards in lieu of the 1x4 baseboards. Fund to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $3,536.14, and local funds, $392.90. And further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
So move.
Moved by Ms. Benoit, second by Mr. Crowders. Any public comment? Ms. Benoit?
No,
Mr.
ma'am.
Crowders? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. Recommendation number 15. The committee recommends the board approve and accept the following change orders for Hurricane Ida recovery projects and authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. There's a change order for Houma Junior High roof repairs in the amount of $2,878.34 for additional metal flashing and around the band building roof, and funds to be derived by FEMA reimbursement, $2,590.51, and local funds $287.83. And a second one for Caldwell Middle and Gibson school building repairs, change order number 2, and a credit, and this is a credit of $1,620 for removal of electrical panel from the scope of the work.
The first one, Doc, was Evergreen.
Oh, Evergreen, excuse me, I stand corrected, Evergreen. Do I have a motion? Ms. Benoit, second by Mr. Cloche. Any public comment? Ms. Benoit?
No.
Ms. Cloche? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. Recommendation number 16, the board approve and accept change order number 2 for the Legion Park Elementary School HVAC and window replacement project in the amount of $3,713.82 to install additional fencing around the new cafeteria and kitchen AC units. Funds to be derived from the American Rescue Plan Act, ESSER 3, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents and pertaining thereto. So move, Mr. Ford. Second by Mr. Crowders. Any public comment? Ms. Ford? No, ma'am. Mr. Crowders? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. Recommendation number 17. The committee recommends the board approve and accept the following change orders for Hurricane Ida recovery projects and authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. The change order is H.L. Bourgeois building repairs, change order number 4 in the amount of $22,236.72 to add an exhaust fan, galvanized steel supply caps, and a missing window at the press box to correct gym slab, and a credit to remove scope of replacing flooring and base in music choir building. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds in the amount of $20,013.05, and local funds in the amount of $2,223.67. The second one is Mulberry Elementary Building, change order number 5, in the amount of $180,123 for replacement of remainder of fascia and soffit on the main building and soffit on the front of the canopy of the original building. Funds to be derived from local funds. So moved, Mr. Harding.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Mr. Harding? Mr. Ford?
I don't remember the 180,000 for Mulberry being discussed at the committee meeting, and I think I'd asked if where the local funds is being derived from. This is not FEMA reimbursement, then it's.
Yes, no, it's not. It's not. It's deterioration of the roof while they're repairing. It was discovered that it's not FEMA or not IDA related. It's just deterioration that we just have no choice but to change.
Okay, so it's basically coming from that building fund that we
Yes, sir.
have.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
And Doc, if I can just add, these kind of things, we ask the questions, is it a necessity, is it needed, or is it just a cosmetic thing? This is one of those needs, without a doubt. If it's not changed, we're going to get more seepage, so we had to change it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There being no business no further business to come before the Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee.
No, we have,
Do I?
Yes, number 18.
I missed one?
Got too many. Last one.
Old Dularge School. The committee recommends that the board declare as surplus the building and property located at 1327 Bayou Dularge Road, Terrio, Louisiana, 70397, Old Dularge Elementary School. Authorize the superintendent to have the property appraised and authorize the sale of said property in accordance with applicable laws. All transactions subject to the board attorney review, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So moved, Mr. Ford. Second by Mr. Harding. Any public comment? Sir.
No, this is about declaring it surplus and getting it appraised. So I'm not sure what they want to talk about. It's got to be about the recommendation.
Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Yes. My name is Ross Beauregard. I am here to represent my father-in-law, Robert Mormon Jr., a descendant and heir of B. Mormon Estate. My address is 1323 Dr. Beatrice Road. I reside across the bayou from the property in question. I am here tonight to represent the heirs of B. Mormon Estate, just as myself, Robert Mormon Jr., Marvin Mormon Jr., and Gerald Reshaw did in the meeting with Superintendent Mr. Ergeron back in June of 2022 to discuss this issue, which at the time we were told by Mr. Ergeron that the school board would look into it and get back with us. Only to recently we requested an update. I had bumped into Mr. Ergeron, and I was told that the school board now owns the property. As you can imagine, this came quite as a shock to us, being that none of us of the descendants or heirs were notified of any proceedings. Of course, we found out from court documents that we went and got from the courthouse that only the B. Mormon Estate was attempted to be notified, and only the Secretary of State. No descendants, heirs, were notified nor approached by the person of our district, Mr. Roger Dale Dehart, that is supposed to be us, our constituents. When the donation documents back in 1917 that the estate gave a donation to the school board and or were well read states that the property is to be returned to the estate and/or the descendants or heirs when no longer used for educational purposes. But this part was not in the petition to the courts. It was only mentioned to the estate. For this convenience to find out no registered estate to be cleared the path for the school board to take ownership through the petition to the court. With that stated clearly of how the school board has unjustly acquired this property, we feel, as the living descendants and heirs, we would like this property to be used as our forefathers had intended, the purpose of benefiting our community of Dularge. The Dularge Volunteer Fire Company would do just that. It would only be right if this property would land with our Dularge Volunteer Fire Company for the purpose of continuing to serve our community. We are petitioning this board to table this matter tonight in an effort to allow all of you to take this wrong and make it right. We would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have documents if anybody would like to see them.
Your name and address, please.
Good evening. Gerald Richard. I live next door to the old elementary school on Bayou Dularge, 1323 Bayou Dularge Road. I've been there since 1980. That building has been a good service to the community since 1917, as earlier was indicated. We'd like to encourage the building to not be turned into a surplus and be done away with in any fashion that can be acquired, but continue as a community service. As an heir, I'm trying to follow on with what the intent was in 1917 and have it be considered a asset to the community and continue to be used as that. If it could be used in a capacity by the fire station, we heard they are interested in that, and we'd like to petition you to allow time to have that be fully investigated and put to task if possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? Name and address, sir.
My name is Brian Abear. I live at 112 Mary Carmen Street. I'm the fire chief for Bayou Dularge Fire Department. We've had conversations with Mr. Roger Dale and Mr. Orgeron here in the last few weeks of acquiring that building. We think it'd be beneficial for the community. It's a central location for our community, for hurricanes and so on and so forth. We do a lot of supplying our community. We do have fire stations. One of the fire stations that we did have was ruined by Ike and Gustav, right? So when FEMA had came in, we no longer had that facility anymore. It was always a mainstay, and I know you know a lot of small communities, the fire stations are always the mainstay in those communities. So that's what we're looking to do and try to help our community even more. So I just wanted to come up and explain that, and thank you guys for your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, public? Mr. Ford?
I just want to, I definitely appreciate you guys coming up. I kind of feel like we are in a bad position now, and I'm going to say what I want to say, and then I'm going to let everyone else say, and then I'm going to talk again after. But I just want to make sure you guys understand there's nothing nefarious going on here with the board. As a board, we discussed this over a year ago. We were hoping that the property would potentially get returned to the family. So, and I'm not speaking for everyone there, I'm just, from memory, I specifically said, and I know Roger Dale said, and many other people on the board had the same sentiment. So, having said that, I want to let everyone else speak, and then I feel like I have another comment following. Thank you.
Mr. Horton? Any comments? Ms. Cloche?
I would maybe recommend a substitute motion that we might table this to give a little more time for the family and for the school board to work this situation out in a way that would, you know, maybe suit all people involved.
Ms. Benoit?
So, yeah, I need a little bit more information, I think, on this. First of all, I'll echo what Mr. Ford said. We have quite a few properties, and when we did our facility study, that was our number one question as we looked at our different sites is who owns this? Who gave it to us? Does it revert back to the owner? Does it stay with us? We've had all those questions about all of our sites. And we always have said, when we have decided that a site is unusable by the board, that we would love to return it to the family that own the property, because to us, that's where it should belong. And there's a lot that goes into that, whether or not they want to keep the building, tear down the building, sell the land to someone else. Those kinds of things are things that are, I don't think, as the school board, we're interested in necessarily doing. We're more interested in returning it to the family and let them do what they need to do with it. How this got turned around that we didn't know, I'm not sure. I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of it. So yeah, I think we need some more information on this, but I have always voted for returning property to families and that are the original owners, so.
Any other board
Thanks.
members? Mr. Ogeron?
Yeah, and I agree, and I think staff agrees with the board. If that's so what the board feels, but we would have loved to have, you know, returned, and that was our priority. So, but it's not that easy. So we got legal consultation from our attorneys and went through the proper process of going through the court system to decide, okay, who owns it? And when it's as many heirs as the family has, it makes it a little difficult, right? So to get a consensus, it's not that easy. Somebody has to make that decision. So I understand if you want to add anything, but that's kind of what we did. And I can say this as well before Stan says his part. We don't want to be in the business of being landlords either. Like leasing is, you know, if we would love to lease to the fire department if it's ours. I mean, that would be so. But and then if we could just part ways with it, so much the better. That's more obligation, more liability, more a lot of things having property that we don't use as a school. So and that's not what we're here for. So if we could do something better, we would. That's not how this played out. And we legally did what we had to, not nefariously at all. That has no intention of doing anything underhanded. We felt we were pretty much out in front with this, and Stan can attest to that.
Yeah, and apologize. I didn't really know that this was going to be an issue, and it's been a few years, so I don't have all the facts in my head. So, you know, I'll put that together in a letter to the board on exactly what happened. But I do have a very, you know, vivid recollection that this was something that went on for over a year, probably 2 years, and to which it was talked about before there was ever even a suit filed. I talked to several Mormons myself. There are a lot of them, so I'd have to go back and look at my notes to say exactly which ones that said that they weren't interested in it. Roger Dale, or Mr. Dehart, was putting together a list. There was expressed some interest. Eventually that turned into there was no interest in the school building being returned to them, which eventually led to a suit to be filed, like the school boards had to do on other ones, because it's donated, you know, in the 20s or 30s or 40s, whatever the case may be, to the school board. So the school board has ownership of it. And some of these, they have reversionary clauses. Some of the reversionary clauses are not valid just because of the language that was contained in them. But anyway, we go to court. You get an attorney appointed for the corporation that no longer exists. The estate of B. Mormon is not like an estate, like a succession or anything like that. That was actually the name of the company. An attorney is represented for that company it does what it has to do under law. It files advertisements and stuff like that. So I'll put that all together for you in a timeline. It'll take me a little bit. Files old and put up, so I'm gonna have to get it out. But, you know, with Superintendent Ogeron stating this, correct, this was a lengthy process. And eventually, at some point in time, you know, my recollection is after speaking to a couple and talking with this year, that there was no real interest in the school being returned. And then who would it be returned to? Because you had a company, you know, Shell, and then who would there? So, but we'll certainly provide something to y'all.
Okay.
Mr. Harden?
I agree, and we have always tried to turn properties back over to the heirs. I guess my question to our attorney and maybe possibly Mr. Ogeron, if we table this tonight and you come back in 30 to 60 days, will you have a different opinion?
Yeah, that, you know, I think the recommendation is to declare it as surplus. Obviously, you have to do that first under law so that you can, and then get it appraised, and then possibly sell it. Certainly nothing wrong with tabling it. I'll have something to you by then, but regardless, a court of law has declared the property to be that of the school board. So if the sentiment is to return the school or lease or something else, well, you can still do that, even if you declare it as surplus. You don't have to sell it. But, you know, if you want to avoid selling it, or even declaring it as surplus and having it appraised, you know, then you don't have to do that if you want to entertain something else.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want anybody to think that I'm opposed or trying to, you know, sell it. I just was trying to make sure that if, you know, is it going to be a different outcome? Is it going to be a different, if you bring it back, if you do it now or do it later? I mean, I just think that, you know, the prudent thing to do is, I don't have a problem waiting, but then if you come back with the same scenario, then I guess we do what we have to do. Now, is there anything that maybe if we can't return it back to them, could you get into agreement where you might have like a 100-year lease for $1 a year or something along that line? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we believe you can do that.
You can lease it. It just has to be, you know, you can't give away something for free. You have constitutional prohibitions against that, so you'd have to lease it for value. You know, possibly cooperative endeavor agreement with a public entity, you know, there. So there are some things that you can do. We'd have to take a look at all of that and let you know. So, yeah, if you lay it on the table, you don't need a substitute motion. You can just move to lay it on the table, but it does come back up. You can pull it off the agenda for now and look into it further, or, you know, you can.
Well, let's look. I mean, I would like, if you're going to come back with the same opinion, you know, maybe we might need to look in a different direction. Another way we might can, you know, allow the fire department and the property to stay, you know, like it's being used without us having surplus and actually selling it.
Yeah, I mean, the one fact that will not change is the fact that it is been declared by a court of law to be the property of the school board now, and the reversionary clause does not apply. That won't change no matter what I give you. Now, I can give you a whole lot of information and a timeline as to how we got to that process. You know, and I think that, you know, Mr. Dillon could probably shed a lot of information on that as well.
All right. So basically, you're saying that the court of law pretty much done rule, and that won't change.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, please. I may not have understood exactly what you said, but so if it belongs to the school board, that's irreversible. We can't bequeath it to the fire department. It has to be sold because there's laws against giving it away.
Correct.
Right.
And how do you, and you have to get it appraised to determine what the value is. If you were going to give it to the fire department, what that would be.
Correct. To sell, just real quick, to sell a piece of property, what the school board would have to do first is declare it as surplus. Second, have it appraised. And then 3, sell it. And there are only 3 methods into which a school board can sell property. And so we would follow one of those 3. Other than selling it, it can lease property, and you don't have to declare it a surplus or anything like that. So you can do other things.
And if you were to lease the property, you said you couldn't lease it for $1 a year, though,
Right, you'd have to do it for basically fair market value.
fair market value for
Yes,
that
sir.
property.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Ford?
So I think Stan answered all the questions that I had. The concern I still have is, I think as a board collectively, I'd like to see the property go back to the family, but our hands are tied at this point because we now own the property. So the only suggestion I can make is it needs to be declared surplus, so I think we should go ahead and go through with this motion. But we don't have to be in a hurry to get it appraised, to get it to market. Maybe that gives them time to form an LLC or come up with something so they can at least put a bid in on it, do something to that effect so they can, reacquire that property if it needs that much. And honestly, I don't think there's going to be much interest outside of the family or the fire department for that property to begin with. So it may be an opportunity for them to go ahead and get it, at a reasonable price if that does happen.
Yeah, and that is correct. You could declare it as surplus, but you could wait, you could wait 6-7 months, a year to get it appraised. You'd want to, if your plan is to sell it, you want to have the appraisal, somewhat close in time. So you would wait to have the appraisal done until there's a consensus. But yet you certainly don't need to rush to do anything.
Ms. Benoit?
Yeah, so I think I remember the last time we had a situation where we appraised something, had to sell it, that you put it out for sale, you don't get the amount that you're asking for, and then you can do it 3 times.
There's 3 different ways to do it. One is public auction, so it would just go to public auction and be sold.
Okay.
The second way is what you're talking about. It's sealed bids. And the first time, it has to get 85% of the
Right.
appraised value. The second time, 80. The third time, 75 or something. And then after that, you can sell it-
Anything.
You can sell it for
You
whatever.
can sell it for anything.
And then recently, the legislature, a few years ago, entered a third way that you could sell a piece of property, and it is by, through a real estate agent. There are certain requirements under law that have to be in the real estate contract, and you have to list the minimum sales price in that. So there are 3 different ways, but what you were talking about was definitely one of them.
So we have to surplus it in order to have it appraised. The thing is, we need to know what the appraisal value is so that we could even, if we decide to lease, I'm sure they'll give us a fair market value of a lease as well. When you appraise, you could probably ask for that. I think we need to move forward with surplus and get the appraisal tonight, and then we can decide later how we're going to deal with it. Again, we have that option of sealed bids, and when we get this appraised, do we actually have to disclose to the public what the appraisal was?
You do not,
Okay,
but
yeah.
yeah.
So I think we
I
could,
mean, if someone sends a public records request, you would have to.
right, but,
Yeah.
well, but, we don't.
Right, you don't.
And that way, we can have bids, if we go that route, we could have bids, and they don't know what it's appraised for. If we don't get the correct appraisal after like 3 bids, it can go for anything. The $35 that it went for back in 1917, whenever this was actually given, So I say, we have a secondary motion right now? We have a table?
Nobody
Yeah.
actually made the motion, they spoke about it yet.
Mr. Ford and Mr.
Nobody,
Harden.
okay, so the motion's still on.
We don't have a substitute.
The original recommendation
It's
is
the only
still there.
recommendation on the
Okay.
floor.
So I'd like to move to surplus. Oh, we have something else?
The original recommendation,
Yeah, it is. It's too late.
One more public speak.
No.
We have one
it-
more
it came
public?
back to the board.
Hello, Mr. Bubba. My name is Shawnee Marmon Burgard, and I just want to,
and what's your address, please?
it's 1323 Dr. Beatrice Road. I live right across the bayou from the school. Miss Debbie Benoit knows where to find Mormons. Roger Dale DeHart knows where to find Mormons. We live right around the school. Why didn't he come to us? Mr. Bubba Ogeron, we spoke to you at the beginning of the year, and my husband, my dad, my uncle, and my cousin were all in your office in June of 2022 trying to remedy this. And what was your comment? I'm going to look into it, and I'm going to get back to you. Let's fast forward to January at the inauguration for the parish council. We saw you there. How you doing, Bubba? Oh, I'm great. How are you? Good. My husband said, any updates on the school? You looked at him and said, oh, we own it now. He says, how? He said, well, we're not going to talk about it tonight. Go ahead and email me. You emailed us 2 attachments. The petitioning the judge to hire an attorney to look to represent the B. Mormon estate. Okay? You kindly left off the 3rd attachment, which showed it had already all been completed. But that's okay, because we went to the courthouse and got a copy of it ourselves. And that's why we're here tonight. I just want y'all to think about this. I don't think it's right for the school board to make money to sell something that our family donated to this community for over 100 years. And I am so disappointed in you, Bubba Ogeron. I really, really am.
We're not here for personal comments.
Well,
thank you.
I mean, this is personal for me. This is what our family wanted, and we do a lot for our community, and we want to continue to do that. And I don't see how y'all can just say, well, you surplus it, it's gone. And even the attorney knows where to find Mormons. You know, I don't think that y'all can just go on because they got from a couple people that we're not interested. No, it says specifically in that paperwork, and I'd like for all of you to look at it, it says B. Mormon estate or its descendants or heirs. I really appreciate if y'all don't rush into anything. We want to make sure that it goes to a nonprofit organization within our community. That is what we want, okay? And I just feel like y'all obtained it. Now y'all think it belongs to y'all fraudulently. So I think it needs to be looked at a little closer and just see what we can do because you're saying that the fire department's going to end up having to purchase it. They can't afford, that's impossible. So then what happens, right? Where we want the fire department to end up with it so that it can be continue to be a blessing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Yeah, I don't think, I think in listening what the attorney's saying, I really don't think the school board want to take this property. I really don't think, at least I don't anyway, not from the consensus here. I guess it is what it is. I don't think it's, I'm going to contradict what she said. I think fraudulent means we're doing something illegally. We're trying to follow the law. That's what we're trying to do. So to say that, I think that's a false statement. But me as an individual board member, I would love for it to stay in your community. I really would. I think I think we can try to work on this and make it work where it stays there, where it belongs. Because we don't have a need for that.
Not at all.
We don't have a need for that at all. You guys have a need for it. And that's what we're all about. We try to build bridges, not tear down bridges. Okay? So I don't really think that we are fraudulent for doing this. I'm going on what the attorney's saying. And I think what Ms. Benoit is stating is go on, we need to move forward with it. And we can always pull back the reins. But until we do that, something has to be done. It has to go forward.
Mr. Ford.
Just one last statement, and it echoes what Greg said, but I think if we move forward with it tonight like we should, we have one of the smartest, legal counsels in this area. He can figure out, I mean, he's not quite, on your level, Greg, but I think we can figure something out. I mean, but we do need to make this step. This is a necessary step in the process. Like I started off with, I don't think we did anything nefarious to get this property. If I thought that the statements about Bubba had some merit, believe me, the first thing I would do when this board meeting's over is I'd pull him in the back and talk to him about it. But I think you're off base with that. And if I'm not mistaken, this all started before Bubba was even superintendent. So let's get through this tonight, and we don't have to be in a rush to move it forward. From here, we can buy some time to figure out what we can do next. Thank you.
Mr. Kraus.
I know that we're not necessarily supposed to engage the public, but on this particular instance, I think I would like to say something because there may be a little bit of a misunderstanding. I think your heartfelt emotions are felt by the board, and I think the majority of the board is looking to do the right thing by you and your family. But I think what's being said is that before anything can be done, before we can go from where we are right now to step B, is it has to be declared a surplus and then appraised. Once that's done, we can move from where we are right now tonight, sitting here looking at each other, to step B. I think that's what's being said, and am I correct in that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Does
May I come back and make a statement?
Mr. Horton?
Point of order, I mean, we was gracious enough to let the young lady come up.
That's right.
But we done already discussed this. It's in the hands of the board now, and you'll be out of order if you do come back up again.
But you have some inaccuracies of what's been discussed.
No, you can't say it.
That's all I was trying to clear up.
Any other board members?
Yeah, I
Ms.
have a
Benwell?
question. Exactly what Mr. Crowder said is what we're trying to do. We do not want this property. We do not want the building. It was a surprise to me that it's, I mean, I read it on the agenda, but I thought it was all taken care of, which it was, obviously, legally.
It was.
So I didn't know that this was offending the family until tonight. But we definitely don't want an abandoned building in a community. I've said that many times. When we decide that we don't want a school building for the use of education anymore, we hate to leave a building out there for vandalism or nefarious things to happen. We don't want that. So that's not what we're trying to achieve here, is to, we just need to do the right thing, legally. And that is to move forward with the surplus. And if there's any way to, resolve this, I don't know if there's another legal recourse by the family, I don't know. But I mean, that can be taken care of after the surplus and after the appraisal. So I think we need to move forward with it. Thank you.
Ford.
So my question is really for the attorney. If we amend this motion to authorize the sale of said property, so we authorize the appraisal, and then the board president to sign all documents pertaining thereto, then that means we made a surplus, we can get an appraisal, but we can't sell it yet without coming to the board.
We'll have to come into the board again.
Which will give them an opportunity to get some time in there and maybe come up with a better course of action or a plan on their part.
That sounds fair.
Yep,
Okay.
that is absolutely correct.
Mr. Duval, why are we? Are we still in the main motion?
You're still
Yes.
on the main motion, yes.
Okay.
No one's made a,
So I'd like to recommend a substitute motion to state, the committee recommends that the board declare as surplus the building and property located at 1327 Bayou Du Large Road, Terrio, Louisiana, 70397. Authorize the superintendent to have the property appraised, and authorize the board attorney review, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. And this removes
So,
the
second
sale.
by Mr. Harden. Any other, public comment?
Now it's public comment.
Mr. Ford? Mr., you have
Public
public
comment.
comment on this motion, sir?
My name is Gerald Richard, 1323 Bayou Du Large Road, next door neighbor and heir to the property in question. There's some errors that were in the documentation that took place awarding the legal judgment for ownership. I'm not here to try to contest any of that. What I'm trying to do is get a moment where we could look to continuing the service of that property in a spirit of community service is what I'm trying to do in terms of the act of fraudulent. I don't think was necessarily with intent. It's just errors, misidentifications of addresses, things of this nature and so forth, that was corrected. But the bottom line is we just wanted to act tonight to try to keep it from going to a movement that we could not reverse if it can be put back into community service. That's our goal. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Any other public? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. Now, being there no further business to become before the Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee, the meeting was adjourned at 7:53 p.m. We move on to item 9.
Dr. Trahan, as we move on to the superintendent's agenda,
Yes, superintendent's agenda.
I would like to deviate so that we have the personnel section and the litigations moved to the end of the agenda so that we can cover the rest of the information, and that could be the last on the agenda.
Okay, so that, wait, let me get there.
Do what? Not, well, just all of this. I mean, the individual board member thing, and everything.
And you would like to move the legislative update?
No, I'd like to just move the personnel section to the end of the agenda and then take everything else on the agenda first.
Go to number 10. Go to number 10. She wants to move to number 10. Go to 10.
Yeah, move that to number 10.
Oh, move back to number 10?
No, move the number 2 to number 10.
You're on A2, since you've already done.
I'm not understanding
We've done
what you're
one,
saying.
so move 2 to number 10.
Move 2, the personnel section. To number 10?
Well, it's actually 2, 3, and 4, because those are all personnel.
So you want to move the
things.
personnel section to number 10?
Yeah, if they all fall under personnel. 2, 3, and 4, those are litigation discussions.
2, 3, and 4. And you want to move it where to?
Yeah, let that be the last on the agenda.
Last, at the end.
Last, at the end?
Yeah.
To the end? All right, now I'm with you.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Clotis. I gave you a new name. Sorry about that. Any public comment? Ms. Benoit?
No.
Ms. Clocher? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. So next we are, if we're moving to
The
3 and
individual
4.
board member. You.
Next we are number 10.
Yeah, you.
All right. Number 10, individual school board members, myself, matter pertaining to election of vice president of the Terrebonne Parish School Board.
Do you have any,
Board,
you have any comments on that? before?
yes. Board members, this item is being brought forward to address an issue that arose in January meeting in determining the majority of members present and voting when working with the 8-member board. My apologies to all of you for the errors that happened that evening. With that said, I will reopen nominations for the board vice president.
Yes, I would like to nominate Mr. Dane Voisin as vice president of the board.
Second by Ms. Crowders. Any other nominations? Do I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cloche, second by Mr. Crowders. Any public comment? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. So we only have one member. Do we need a vote? I guess so, huh? Make it official.
It's,
The secretary will read the, call the roll.
there are 6 members, 6 board members present. So I have absent Mr. Michael Lagarde, Mr. Dane Voisin, Mr. Roger Dale DeHart. So I'll call them for those in attendance how you want. Mr. Gregory Harding, Mr. Matthew Ford, Ms. Debbie Benoit,
Mr. Voisin.
Ms. Dr. Butt,
Yes, ma'am.
or Mr.
Mr. Boston.
So,
Mr.
Dr.
Voisin?
Okay. Mr. Thomas. So there's, it's unanimous. The one candidate was Mr. Voisin.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice. The one candidate, yes, it's unanimous.
And what was the vote?
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
6. Thank you.
6 members voted.
So now
3
we
board
return
members
to,
absent.
Do the acknowledgements.
Yeah.
now we
Mr.
return
Voisin
to
is
the
declared.
agenda.
The next item.
Would be the 1, 2A, the ones we skipped?
The B,
10B.
10B.
B. Acknowledgement of school board members' training hours. All right, here we go. Earned for Terrebonne Parish School Board members, Mr. Michael Lagarde, District 1, Mr. Gregory Harding, District 2, Mr. Matthew Ford, District 3, Ms. Debbie Benoit, District 4, Mr. Don Crowders, District 5, Mr. Clyde Hamner, District 6, Mr. Roger DeHart, District 7, Dr. Mabel Trahan, District 8, and Dane Voisin, District 9, for the calendar year 2023 by the Louisiana School Boards Association in accordance with Act 705. Recommendation that the board acknowledge the official transcript from the Louisiana School Boards Association for the training hours earned by Terrebonne Parish School Board members for calendar year 2023 in accordance to Act 705, and further order said acknowledgement spread across the minutes as follows. So moved by Ms. Crowder.
Second.
Second by Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Any other board members? Excuse me, Ms. Crowder, Ms. Benoit. Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so moved. The transcript reads as above. Mr. Lagarde, in 2023, Mr. Lagarde had 8.5 total hours. Mr. Harding had 7 total hours. Mr. Ford had 11.75 total hours. Ms. Benoit had 15 total hours. Mr. Crowders had 7 total hours. Mr. Hamner had 18 total hours. Mr. DeHart had 6 total hours. Dr. Trahan had 17 total hours, and Mr. Voisin had 9.5 total hours. C, resolution acknowledging and accepting the Terrebonne Parish member training hours for calendar year 2023. that the board approve the following resolution acknowledging and accepting Terrebonne Parish School Board members' training hours earned as recorded by the Louisiana Boards Association for calendar year 2023 with accordance to Act 705. So moved, Mr. Crowders. Second by Mr. Cloutier. Any public comment? Mr. Crowders? Ms. Cloutier? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas each member of the city and parish school board shall receive a minimum of 6 hours of training and instruction as required by Act 705 of the 2011 Louisiana Legislature. And whereas this training and instruction shall consist of school laws of the state, laws governing the powers, duties, and responsibilities of city and parish school boards, educational trends and research and policy, and whereas such instruction may be received from an institution of higher education in the state, from instruction sponsored by the State Department of Education, or by an in-service training program conducted by a city or parish school board central office or the Louisiana School Boards Association, or training provided at the national level. And whereas each member of a city or parish school board shall receive 1 hour of ethics training per year of their tenure as a school board member. Now therefore let it be resolved that it become public record that Mr. Michael Lagarde, District 1, Gregory Harding, District 2, Matthew Ford, District 3, Debbie Benoit, District 4, George Don Crowders, District 5, Clyde Hamner, District 6, Roger Dale Heath DeHart, District 7, Dr. Maybelle Trahan, District 8, and Dane Boisa, District 9, members of the Terrebonne Parish School Board have successfully received and exceeded the 6 hours of required training as mandated by the legislature of Louisiana, and all board members have fulfilled the mandate of 1 hour of ethics training for the calendar year 2023. Item D, legislative update.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Benoit.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Trahan. And as you know, the legislature is in right now, and so there's quite a few bills being proposed to be voted on, and they are related to education either directly or indirectly. And so I'd like to just give you a kind of summation of those bills, and then we'll continue to follow them as the session goes on, and those that get passed, we'll make sure to give you a list of those. But I'll start with HB 133, which is Senator Presley. It's a the World Health Organization, WHO, and the World Economic Forum regarding jurisdiction or power in state affairs. So for them to not have any power over our state affairs is the recommendation there. HB 46 by Representative Edmonston to prohibit required shots in schools. HB 47, another one by Representative Edmonston, sunshine and transparency regarding health exemptions to schools and to students. HB 71, Representative Horton, public display of 10 commandments in public schools. HB 121, Representative Cruz, pronouns used in classrooms, so it's regarding whether or not those are used in classrooms. HB 122, again, Representative Horton, discussion of gender identity and sex orientation in classrooms, another one, whether or not that's discussed in classrooms or not. HB 66, Representative Butler, to provide students with exceptionalities in non-public schools. HB 191, Representative Feinberg, provide school fundings for victims of bullying not enrolled in public schools. HB 545, Representative Amity, regarding obscenities in school libraries. HB 547, another one by Representative Amity, subject students who complete approved home study programs and satisfy top score curriculum and GPA requirements to the same ACT requirements as graduates of public and approved non-public schools. HB 550, Representative Amity, terminates approval of home study programs by the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education and provides for the authority of parents with respect to home schools. SB 262 by Senator Hodges, expands Parents' Bill of Rights in public schools. HB 313 by Senator Edmonds, educational savings account for ESA for schools where the money follows the student. HB 190 by Representative Feinberg, increase membership and powers of Early Childhood and Education Commission. HB 125, Representative Baham, up penalties for battery of school bus drivers. HB 608, Representative Wilder, provides for the distinction between males and females and provides for protection for women and girls against sexual assault and harassment committed by biological men. You can go to the state website for any one of these. I'll have these available for you, these numbers, and you can read the lengthy description of what the intent of is each of these. It was so long, I just wanted to read you the title so that you understand what's being discussed. I'd also like to mention that we recently received a letter from Dr. Kay Brumley affirming a new law, which I remembered bringing to you last year, where they was the requiring of the posting of the national motto, "In God We Trust," as we have here, in every public school classroom. This bill was passed, and it was bipartisan support, and the Louisiana Family Forum is assisting with the distribution and asked our local We the People Bayou group to help. And as a result, this group presented the signs to the superintendent and school board members after a recent school board meeting. And I currently checked with the superintendent. They are currently on display in every classroom in Terrebonne Parish Public Schools, with a minor exception of 3 that are having them laminated while the walls are being painted. So soon to have them all up. And thank you. And I will mention that I checked recently on the WEP Act. If y'all remember, that's the act that says that we can collect Social Security regardless of being on state retirement. And I know I must mention that because Mr. Hamner's here, and I know that he's worked diligently on that. But we are up to over 300 legislators now that are co-authors of this bill, and I have a lot of hope that we are very close to getting this to the floor, especially with Senator Johnson being our speaker, that this is going to happen and this will pass, and this will probably be it's a huge win for our teachers for sure. So I'll keep y'all updated on that. And that's it. Thanks.
I did have a statement. House Bill 46, you mentioned in your summary, you use the verbiage shots.
Yes.
I just want to make sure everyone understands. It's COVID-19 vaccines, because currently they refer to flu shots, but it's COVID-19 vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So,
this is the way it's stated in,
yeah.
in the bill. And truly, I think a lot of people don't realize this, is that we don't require any shots at all, or vaccines. I mean, a child can come to our schools without that. Most children have them. I would say probably 90% of our children probably have them, but it's not a requirement to have them not attend.
For enrollment, yes.
Yeah, for enrollment, right. They can still come. Look that up, though, number 46, HB 46.
I have it right
and see
here.
how- Yeah.
Very comprehensive report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We return to item 2 of the personnel section. Ms. Ogeron.
Okay, item 2A is leaves of absence, family and medical leave. The recommendation is that the board approve a family and medical leave in accordance with policy file F-11.4A for Tamika Gray, Fleet Operations Facilitator in the Transportation Department, beginning February 2nd, 2024 through May 7th, 2024 on an intermittent basis medical.
Moved by Mr. Crowder.
Wait, that's
second-
information only, isn't it?
What's that?
It's not information?
Not that one, no ma'am.
Oh, it's the next.
That's a, yes ma'am.
Okay.
Second by Mr. Harding. Any public comment? Mr. Crowders? Mr. Harding? Any other school board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
And 2B is personnel actions for the period of January 26, 2024 through February 23, 2024, for your information only, provided for you. And item number 3 is matter bearing upon pending litigation, Michael Piku on behalf of James Piku versus Terrebonne Parish School Board, Precious Shepherd, and Berkeley Insurance Company, docket 187186, 32nd Judicial Court, Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana. Executive session is called for.
Motion for executive session.
Moved.
Moved by Ms. Benoit, second by Mr. Cloche. Any public comment? Ms. Benoit, Ms. Cloche. Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. We'll clear the